This is our museum exhibit. It's on the space race. My name is Ilan Fontes.
I'm Caden.
I'm Angel.
And I'm Jonathan Toscano.
So this is just a quick timeline of what went on in the space race. I don't know if you guys can see, but that's the timeline.
These are the main launches that occurred because there was over 200 satellites sent out during the space race. So there's really can't list all of them.
So in the beginning, it started off during the Cold War in 1957. It started with Russia launching their first satellite. It was called Sputnik 1, and America was afraid of the USSR controlling space, so they launched their own. But it was a terrible fail, and it exploded and crashed. People made fun of it and called it like Flopnik or Stayputnik. And this was the start of the space race, and Russia was winning so far. So, the Russia's Sputnik 1 was a surprise for America. It was also the first artificial satellite on October 4th. It was launched on October 4th, 1957. It brought in new political, military, technological, and scientific developments for everyone. The surprise success for the USSR precipitated the American Sputnik crisis and triggered the space race. Less than a month after, the USSR launched a second spacecraft and named it Sputnik 2. It was another major victory for the USSR as it carried the first living organism into orbit. It was a female dog named Laika, but she died a few hours after the launch. So after Sputnik 2, or 1 and 2, the US tried to step up their efforts in the space race. They launched their own artificial satellite. It was called Explorer 1 on January 31st, 1958. Explorer 1 was the first in the series of over 90 Explorer ships. Explorer 1 made a key discovery for the US. It discovered the Van Allen radiation belt in space.
So if you didn't know, NASA stands for National Aeronautics and Space Administration. It was founded in 1958. Their first goal was to get the first human into orbit, and they wanted to bring the U.S. back on top because the USSR was beating us at the time, and the U.S. didn't like to be number one. The only military test pilots could be used. These were President Eisenhower's orders. It had to be a military test pilot, and they had to be shorter than 5'11", and they had to be between the ages 25 and 40. Must have 1,500 hours of flying time. So there's 7 lucky astronauts that were picked. NASA put together a test of which 508 people attempted. There was such obstacles during the test included being shaken, blasted with loud noises, feet had to be put in ice cold water, and blowing up balloons until they got tired. On April 9th, 1958, NASA finally picked the Lucky 7 to go up into space. The Lucky 7 astronauts had to ride a NASA airplane named the Vomit Comet just because it was so intense. The plane would fly up and down, in which the riders felt weightless, similar to zero gravity, like in space. So Russia takes the lead again. NASA hoped that they'd get one of their astronauts into space first, but to our surprise, Russia got the lead with the Vostok